Dickens. I'm sorry.
Last week I read 3 books by Rebecca F. Kuang, and I'd never read any of her books before. I knew she talked about emotional, hard-hitting subjects, but I didn't realise how emotional I was going to get. But I did, and you'll see in this reading vlog. And I start with Babel, then go to the Poppy War, and then Yellowface, and yeah, it's just me reading throughout the week and me popping in, talking about my thoughts and feelings. Don't forget to leave a comment if you've read any of these books and you agree or disagree with any of my thoughts or theories throughout the video, because I just love hearing your guys' opinions, and yeah, it's just the point of BookTube to chat about the books I'm reading with you. So I hope you enjoyed the vlog, and I'll see you on the other side. So I put all 3 books on my YouTube community tab and asked you guys which book I should start with, and Babel won. I'm going to quickly go over the plot, but I'll put the synopsis in the description box. But it's a fantasy book set in Oxford, England, 1836, and Babel is this university of the Royal Institute of Translation, and they basically run a lot of power and work on a lot of shady stuff for the British Empire. And this is really important because the story follows Robin, who is from Canton but got taken from Canton at a young age to live in England by a professor from Babel, and he's basically drilled into him that he is going to study here and he's going to be a massive player of the British Empire, because he's going to be working on some serious stuff that goes on at this school. And while he's at this school, he's got 3 besties, Remy, Victoire and Letty. All 4 of them are from different countries, and they kind of have to get along because they're the only 4, and they somewhat bond that they're all outsiders, but then they have a lot of difference of opinions. Anyway, the story just follows Robin, and he starts the book thinking Babel is this paradise, this great place, but then he uncovers the truth about what the school is really doing, and he ends up having to decide, am I going to work for the British Empire or am I going to join this rebel group? But yeah, I'm going to get right into the book, so hope I enjoy. Just started Babel whilst on my dog walk, and yeah, I'm loving it so far. I don't know if you can even hear me. I've never tried to talk outside on the camera. I just feel so bad for Robin. But we'll see how it goes. Dog walk 2, and I am on chapter 2 of Babel. I just really like the narrator. Like, I feel really immersed in the story. I'm freaking loving it. Oh my god, I hate Professor Lovett, I think he's called. Lovell. I hate him. I hate him. Well, I'm about halfway, and I thought I'd do a little check-in. I'm not going to be speaking really that long because I'll do a debrief at the end of the book, and I'm laying down because Iroh is on me and I feel bad moving. But I've just stopped at the interlude, the first interlude of the book. I don't know if there's any more, and if you read this book, you'll know that last chapter, I was screaming at the page like, don't. This book is probably the smartest book I've ever read. Kind of felt a bit overwhelmed at the start, but you get into it and I'm able to go with the flow. I was feeling a bit too dumb to read the book, but no, it's written in a way, and with the annotations at the bottom of some pages, it really helps anyone get into it. I am glad I started the book via audiobook because I was able to get into it more, for me anyway. It's so hard hitting, and you're frustrated, you're sad, you're happy in parts. It's a lot of emotions, a lot of stuff going on. I really, really feel for Robin, and I understand his turmoil and his just resilience to just survive. And some of the lines and the quotes in this book, I just hit me so hard. I feel bad for him. And I just don't know. People are there for him, but they're not, because he can't voice or share everything that he's going through. But I don't think this is gonna have a happy ending, but I hope it does for Robin. And to be fair, all 4 of them, really, like the 4 besties. Well, mainly the 3, but guess which one is more annoying than all the others. But anyway, page 323. Sorry. Oh my god. So, last night, well, technically this morning at 2 a.m, I finished Babel. Apologies, I know previously in this video I've called this Babel, but it's Babel, I believe. Well, that's what my audiobook says, so apologies for pronouncing this wrong. But I finished this early hours of this morning at 2 a.m, and I probably cried for half hour. I'm going to be very subtle with what I'm saying, so I want this to be spoiler free, and I'm going to do a spoiler filled video, because I need to know if people think the same as me. There's so many unanswered questions, I feel. There's so many what ifs. There's so many, did this mean this? Did this mean that? Did they feel this? And I think that's the point of the book. You're left with feeling this want, this need to know. So if you want to know all of that and you've read these books, please watch it, because I need to know if you feel the same as me. I just have never felt so raw, devastated, just stripped bare at the end of a book than I have with Babel. I mean, Rebecca Kuang, you are a phenomenal writer, a phenomenal storyteller. Just some of these quotes in this book, they hit you right here. Just Robin. What a hard, to live in his mind, you really see his turmoil and what he goes through. And it's very hard. All I can do is sympathise and just be angry at what's happening to him and what's happening at Babel. The last chapter, no, the last 5 pages before the epilogue. Wow, I just didn't know I could feel those emotions, genuinely speaking. It's a very heavy book, but please, if you're someone like me who didn't pick this book up because they were, what's the right word? They were intimidated, that's it. You felt intimidated by this book, or you're someone who struggles with words like me. I really struggle to pronounce English words. Even in sentences, I get words muddled up. And when I'm reading a book, I have to look up the meaning of words. In every single book I read, whether it's the simplest book ever, a romance book, fantasy book, you name it, there will be me looking up words, because That's just how my brain works. I forget what words mean. Sometimes I'm not very broad with my vocabulary, and that's why I like reading, because I'm learning a lot more as I go. Now, this book is extremely intelligent. It's probably the most intellectual book I've ever read. It's extremely smart. It has a lot of linguistics in there. I mean, the whole book's about languages, all languages. Yeah, I was very intimidated when I started this book. However, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. And I'm serious, okay? The first 100 pages, I was thinking, I'm not going to be able to do this. This is going to be too difficult for me. But like all fantasy books, you just push through and then it will click. And you'll be like, boom. And it will go easy flowing. The story flows so well. The world building is it's complicated, but you can follow it. You just need to get into it. And what helped me was I listened to the first 2 chapters on audiobook. The narration is phenomenal, and it helped me immerse myself in that world and get into the story. And then I went to reading the physical copy. There's a lot of groundwork at the beginning, but it's the groundwork and the effort that you get through during the first half of this book is worth it for the remaining 50%. Don't leave this on your shelf unread. I'm so thankful I've read this now. You might be thanking me, you might be cursing me out, because it is amazing but heartbreaking, and that's the only way I can describe it. You will feel raw at the end of this book. The only thing I struggled with, other than how complex and intellectual it was, the connotations, like with the asterisks, like I think I'm saying that right, they're connotations at the bottom of pages, you know, when there'll be an asterisk on the page and then there'll be extra like content to give you more context about what's being said in that sentence. Now, I loved them. I think they added a lot to the book. And I liked that in the audiobook, it was said by a different character, so you knew it was the connotation being said. But the asterisk was so small that I was getting into my reading and I would miss the asterisk and I would read the rest of the page and then get to the bottom and realise, damn, I've missed a signal to read the connotation. So I'd have to then backtrack and search for it on the page. I wished the asterisk were just a little bit bigger, because then it wouldn't have interrupted my flow as much. That's probably the only thing I can complain about. Next, I'm reading Poppy War. I'm scared because this was very hard and emotional, and I feel like the Poppy War is as well. But it's either that or Yellowface. This came first to read in my YouTube community poll, and then it was Poppy War, then it was Yellowface. So I feel like I'm going to read it in vote order, even though I feel like I should have the break from fantasy with Yellowface, but I've hit the ground running and I'm going to keep going. So now we've got the Poppy War, and this story follows Rin, who is a war orphan of the second Poppy War, and she ends up having to live with this foster family who are horrible. They hate her. She really doesn't have a good life, and to break free of that life, she tries to get into the most prestigious military school in Nakan called Singard, and she's able to get in there. That happens literally in the first chapter, and it's on the back of the book, so that is not a spoiler. But she gets into this school and she has to learn everything from scratch. She's at a big disadvantage because everyone else that goes to that school know their shit, basically. But because Rin is an orphan, she's an outsider, she's poor, she's known as a peasant, and she's got darker skin than the rest of the students. She gets picked on a lot, some teachers don't like her, and so she has to fight twice as hard to stay there. And while she's at this school, she uncovers this magic that people thought were long dead. Some people don't even know it exists. And she has to grapple with what this power means and how she can use it to help Nakan, because at the moment there's a risk of a third Poppy War starting by their enemy, the Federation Army. I think that goes over most of the plot. Yes. So now I'm gonna get right into reading the Poppy War.
The next day.
Morning. I tried to start this yesterday, but my mind was just so drained from reading Babel that I literally made it, I think, like 20 pages in. So wish me luck today. I've got my dog walks, and then so I'm gonna read before and after, so wish me luck.
Ridiculous. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right.
I am listening to a bit of the Poppy War on audiobook, and I'm freaking loving this book. Like, I feel like I'm gonna be obsessed. I know there's free, and I'm so thankful already. I'm only a couple of chapters, like I'm in like 6 chapters maybe. I'm now over my Babel sad emotion, and I'm ready for some Rin badass. She is literally like, fuck this shit. Okay, so 50% stopping, and I didn't expect, literally where I am, something big just happened to Rin, and I didn't expect the story to go like that, but now I'm like, oh, I should have known. That's so cryptic, so if you haven't read the book, you'll be like, what the hell are you talking about, Ashley? But I am freaking loving this. It's like crack, honestly. I'm loving Rin. I'm loving June. I made some really good predictions, they ended up being true, and I've written them down in my story graph, so I'll discuss them in my like spoiler video that I'm going to be doing. I can already tell Rin is going to be morally grey. I think that's what people said online anyway, but she's too tempted for power, and she has a will to survive, so she's going to do anything. I really want to see more of her learning to be a kick-ass warrior, because obviously it's very academic at the moment. Stuff happens where we don't see her doing much martial arts, so I'm excited to see her train and become a sick warrior, basically. So I'm assuming that's what's going to happen for the rest of the book. I think she's going to be a bit bad. I don't know, that's the vibe I'm getting. I like her and Kate's friendship, but again, I can already see in the future there might be tension between them, because obviously he's so rich, he's had everything he's ever wanted, he's never had to struggle where she has, and I think that might come to blows in the future where she won't hold it against him, but she'll be like, you just won't ever understand. It's got some good comedy in there. I have been laughing, and I've had all my tense moments, but it has got good comedy, banter in it as well. I'm really enjoying the map as well. Like, sometimes if I'm really struggling to get what's going on, I listen to the audiobook when it's describing what's happening around the provinces, and then I look at the map so I can visually see what they're talking about on the map and hear what's going on. Right, I need to go because I need to get back into it. Let's see how I'm feeling at the end of the book. Drama is happening. Oh my god. I feel so bad for Rin. Like, I'm just wanting her to be sick, but she's struggling right now. God damn it. I've really enjoyed learning about all of the Sikh, I think that's how you pronounce it. And I had to write down each of their names and like what their powers are, so I was able to remember like what each of them do. But I'm really liking how they're like called a band of like weirdos in a way, but I feel bad for them because they're all so young. But I feel like drama is about to occur. Good morning. I know I look a mess. I've come out the shower, my hair's still drying, but I want to get right into reading Yellowface, the next book of this reading week. But I wanted to talk about the Poppy War really quickly because I finished this last night and let my feelings sink, and I freaking loved it. I really, really enjoyed this. It's a completely different vibe from Babel, and I'm a sucker for a fantasy with a badass FMC, but usually they're quite copy-paste, these FMCs. who are badass. Like, they kill people when they need to be killed. They're quite harsh. They don't take shit, basically. But Rin, she is a badass FMC who is insanely morally grey, and she does unthinkable things, and I still love her. I feel bad that I like her. God damn it. At the end of this book, I was like, I shouldn't really like her, but I do. I'm hoping other people feel that way as well, and that doesn't make me evil. It is a fantasy book, so I need to remind myself that. But I did really like how, I don't even know if that sentence made sense. I really liked how she was just always like, I am going to get what I want. I'm not going to let people speak to me like that. I'm going to fight for this. And that's a continuous theme throughout. I did think we would see more sick fighting from Rin in this book. That was probably my only disappointment. I'm just going to quickly get it in there now. That we didn't really see her be a badass fighter. Like, she was a badass character. And she did do some sick fighting in it, but I thought there was going to be more. But as you read the book, it wouldn't make sense if she was insanely elite level, because she's 19. Like, when the book gets really juicy and the stuff gets, like, action starts happening, she's 19 years old. So she's still quite fresh. So I'm expecting in the books to come to see some really cool fight scenes with Rin at the forefront. I really liked Rin's relationship with her teacher, Jung, and I think that Rin is lost, she's lonely, she doesn't really have a family, and he kind of steps in not knowingly as a kind of figure for her, because she doesn't have anyone, and they have a lot of conflict throughout the book, and I just really liked their relationship. He is hilarious, and he added some good comedy to the book. I loved her friendship with Kate, and he's basically her only friend throughout the book. Like, her only true friend throughout the book, which is sad, but at least she's got someone, honestly. She's lived a lonely life, in all honesty, and even when she gets into the school, it doesn't really get better from there. So don't see this book as a kushti. There's going to be some really nice moments. The nice moments are fleeting, quite similar to Babel in that regard. Oh, I really enjoyed the dynamics and the obsessive relationship she had with Naja, and I've got a lot to say about him in my spoiler video. So if you've read this book, please watch that, because I need to know if people think the same things as me. But he is an arsehole, definitely at school during the first half of the book. But my overall thoughts and feelings was, it was a really, really solid book. There were some things that I was a bit like, and I questioned some things about what was, like, why things happened. I was a bit confused. But the overall, it's just so good. I love the world and the whole lore aspect of the book, and the magic and the shamans side of it. It set the groundwork for the next couple of books, and I feel like it's going to get right into it, because, yeah, like I said, I did expect a bit more from Rin in terms of being a badass in the fighting scenes and with the magic, but I feel like that's going to be in books to come. So I enjoyed this. I feel like it can only get better from here. I think, though, there should be a trigger warning at the beginning of this book, because there is a turning point where it gets brutal, the descriptions get really intense, and it then continues from there. I feel like there should be just a little trigger warning at the start, because I wasn't expecting it. And I was just like, damn, I had to pause and be like, whoa, this is heavy stuff. I had a similar reading experience to Babel, where I listened to some of the audiobook and then I read some of the physical book, and the audiobook really helped me with name pronunciations. And I did struggle with this because I started reading And in my head, I said the names completely wrong. So then when I went to listen to the audiobook, I was thinking, who is this person? I don't know this person. Is this a new character? So then I had to listen to the audiobook while looking at the physical book so I could match the name with the name. Don't know if I've explained that okay, but I was just saying the completely left field name pronunciations. And yeah, it took me a while to get into the audiobook because I had to match the characters up. But once I got past that, I freaking love the audiobook. Oh, it was so good. And again, I was listening to it on Spotify, so it didn't cost me anything, which was great. I'm gonna get right into the next book now. The last book of the week, Yellowface. I am about 40, yeah, I'm on chapter 4, like 40 pages in, so can't wait to get into it. This follows a character called June Harper, who is a somewhat failed writer. She's 27 and she's got a friend called Athena, who is an Chinese American woman, and she's insanely successful. She's on like her 3rd novel. She's just been up for a Netflix deal, and yeah, she's like a best-selling author. She made it big from her debut novel. Athena dies, and when she dies, June decides to steal her unpublished manuscript, and then she makes it big off this manuscript, and it's about a white American woman stealing a Chinese American woman's work and changing it slightly and publishing it as her own, and the consequences and the reality of that. Oh my God. Jesus. Oh my God. Jesus Christ, this book. I hated the character more. This makes it so much harder to hold this book. And I don't know if anyone else finds this, but I don't really enjoy reading hardbacks because they're heavier, they're not as easy to mould, but I only have this in hardback. Okay, a quick 50% stop in. Oh my God. My mouth has dropped open so many times. I've gasped so many times at the audacity of June. I can't believe it. Some of the things that happen in this book are just crazy. And I bet stuff like this happens today. Like, I don't think this is a spoiler, me saying this, but when June goes through publishing and marketing for the book, they change her name to Juniper Song to sound more Chinese. My mouth dropped, and then I was thinking, oh my God, I wonder how much that happens in the publishing industry. Like, I don't know, but it just made me think more about that whole world. I hate her. I hate June so much. But I am enjoying the book. It's funny in a sense of you're laughing at June. I have not felt bad for her once. Some of her comments and the way she speaks about Athena, freaking crazy. But yeah, I'm gonna get back to the book. I just want to quickly show you Iroh. He's super cute down here. Cute, my little reading buddy. But yeah, see you at the end. What? My eyes keep drying down and I want it to be a surprise. Is she crazy? It's got to be recording. I guessed this, but partly earlier on. Oh, that is brutal. Wow, we did it. The last book of Rebecca F. Kuang's reading week is complete. I finished Yellowface last night and I don't even know where to begin. It's just so different. I feel like each of her books have been a very different experience, and I'm extremely glad I finished on this one because out of the three it is the more, it's not even light-hearted, but it's not as, no, it is deep. I don't want to say it wasn't as deep because it has deep meaning throughout, but it's not as cutthroat as the other two books, even though it is cutthroat. Anyway, I'm babbling now. But my overall thoughts, I'd say it's very satire, dark comedy. I did really enjoy it. It was just, it didn't wow me. But then it does highlight the publishing world in general and how twisted the market of writers and publishers is. Definitely in terms of race and diversity, like what they force people to do, what they think is appropriate and what they think they can get away with. And it highlights how lonely, excuse me, lonely and competitive publishing is for writers. It's bloody brutal, and I can definitely see parallel in real life in this book. So there is some hard-hitting stuff in it. You are obviously meant to not like June, the white woman with many names. I mean, she's June Harper. Then when people are trying to be really nice to her, or if they feel sorry for her, they call her Junie. And then when she's trying to be culturally ambiguous, she's called Juniper Song. It's mental. Her internal thoughts are, I mean, Jesus Christ, she is very racist. She's very I'm victim all the time and help me, why is this happening to me, these people don't understand. And yeah, she's very extreme in a lot of views, but she doesn't think she's extreme. That's the thing. It's very subtle. It shows her delusion throughout the book. And don't get me wrong, she has gone through hard situations, and you find out stuff about Athena throughout the book, which you question everyone's character throughout this book. But the thing is, Athena is dead, so we don't ever get to hear her point of view. But I came to the conclusion at the end where I was like, I don't think I can make a judgment on Athena because we didn't hear from her point of view, and I feel like a lot of people didn't like her. So we're questioning her character quite a bit. So I was a bit like, you know what? Maybe she wasn't nice, but she was forced to be that way because of revelations you find out in the book. But we know everything about June. And we've been with her this whole book, and I can fairly say that we hate this. I really enjoyed the ending. Like, I was gripped, and there was a bit of a lull in the middle where I was a bit like, oh, come on. I felt like it was a bit repeaty. Like, you kind of see June spiral and go downhill, and there was a moment where I was like, okay, well, I'm kind of done feeling a bit sorry for her because she does spiral. I would say I would definitely recommend you reading it because it's very different. I mean, I've never read a book like this. I don't know what to think about it. But this book did win Goodreads Book of the Year? Yeah, Goodreads Choice Awards, winner of Best Fiction in 2023. Now, I'm having to look at Babel. Surely, I mean Babel, damn it. See, I am shooketh. Babel was nominated for Best Fantasy in 2022 and didn't win. Now, I guess they're in different categories, but Babel was better than Yellowface to me, so I'm shocked at that, but I can see why this won awards. Anyway, I'm going to quickly do a little bit of a spoiler chat for my other video, which I'll be releasing Sunday, and then I'm just going to do a little conclusion about what I thought of the 3 books. So, we are at the end of the Rebecca F. Kuang reading week, and would I recommend this? I don't know. I feel like I needed time between the first 2 to process my emotions, but I was a full steam ahead and I just ploughed through. And these first 2 books are heavy. They all speak about deep topics and underlying issues with society. However, this one is more lighthearted. It's meant to be a dark comedy, whereas these 2, they hit you hard and they hit you brutally. But I really freaking loved it. I'd never read one of her books before, so this was a big experience, and I'm going to quickly rate them in order. So from least favourite to best. Last, we've got Yellowface. Still really loved it, but yeah, it's just, to me, not on par with her other work. I think I'm giving it a 4.4 out of 5. But then I don't think it's as good as Poppy War. Okay, no. Actually, no, it's different. It's very different. Okay, let's just say 3.75 for now. Probably change next week. Then second, we've got the Poppy War. This got a 4 out of 5, and I really did love this book. I expected some more things from the book, which is why it didn't get higher than a 4. But I still really enjoyed it. I think it did a lot of world building. It set the groundwork for the next book, and I cannot wait to finish and delve into this series more, because I think that it's a trilogy, and I'm intrigued to see what Rin does. I mean, I feel bad saying I like her because she is a morally grey character, but it's refreshing to get a different main character, like a female main character who is really morally grey, because usually it's the guys. Most of the time it's the guys. So that's a different change of the book, and yeah, I just can't wait to see where it goes. But nothing can beat this book out of the 3. I mean, this, I'm getting emotional even thinking about it now. I went through a journey through Babel. Got a 4.5. It didn't get a 5 because I struggled a bit with the reading at first, and the whole issues that I've already spoken about in the book with the whole asterisk and connotations. But does that warrant the story not getting a 5? I don't know. I'm sticking with the 4.5. I'm so stingy with my 5 out of 5s. I don't think anything will break me and devastate me and make me feel so raw ever again. I don't know if a book will ever do that. All I'll say is, please read it. It is amazing. I want more. I looked up and I was like, is there going to be another book? Because it can. That's all I'll say, because I don't want to give spoilers. Like, there is a potential for like more content, even if it's a novella, but no, it's done. So I'm left with just this. I might even reread it one day. I've never felt that urge right after reading a book before, but yeah, all in all, I really did love all of them. Have you read all 3 of these books? If you have, is your order the same as mine? Is it different? Please let me know. But I'm glad I read it in this order, because Babel was crazy emotional. I mean, I felt like I got hit by a truck when I ended that. The Poppy War, I'm intrigued to see where it goes next, and it is quite deep. Like, it had some comedy in it, but then overall, like, the last 50% was very brutal. But then Yellowface, the whole thing is a bit of a, like, it's dark comedy, and even though June does some twisted things in the book, and it ends on a note where you're just like, oh my god, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, but it is a dark comedy. So I'm glad I ended on this somewhat lighter note, and I started with the deepest book and then it progressed, and I'm quite glad I did it like that now. At the start, I was thinking I'm not going to make it through this week, but I did. I'm going to end the vlog here. The Rambly spoiler video will be out Sunday. I hope you enjoyed this video and see you in the next one. Bye.